Good morning. Brother Chad Long here from Delhi Baptist Church, looking today at Matthew chapter 20. Have you ever thought about how unfair some things seem to be? And who's the judge of what's fair and what's not? Well, I've thought about it, and especially with the political climate the way it is, and the social climate, and dare I say it, the racial climate. I don't like the word race. I just don't. There's one race on this planet, only one. It is the human race. I don't like the word, but it's being thrown around multiple times every day. And I look at what we think is fair or what we don't think is fair. I find that in most, not all, but in most police situations, if you just follow their commands, even if they're a jerk, even if they're not good at their job, if you just do what they say and try to comply, it'll all come out in the wash. That's what Granny used to say. It'll all come out in the wash. If you've been confused with someone else, if you've been mistreated or mistaken for whatever reason, there's avenues you can take, but resisting and causing a scene seems to get you just worse off, and some people are losing their life, and it's sad. And I'm not a fan of all police. Some of them are not good cops, but they have the authority to do what they do, and we should just try to comply, try to get along with them, try to do our part, because they're what you might call a necessary evil. Well, I didn't get on here to talk about cops or the unfortunate times when someone's had to lose their life. It's not why I'm here, but just for an example, though, of fairness, who judges what's fair? Well, I know that if you leave it up to me, I'm going to misjudge, because what seems fair through my eyes may not seem fair through someone else's. That's part of our problem, is perspective. Everybody's looking at the situation, and we're all seeing something differently, and we can't all be right, and we're not all necessarily wrong. So what do? Well, I've noticed this parable Jesus told. It rubs somebody the wrong. It rubs me the wrong way, to be honest with you. So we need to look at this and see what it is the Lord's trying to tell us. Matthew chapter 20 verse 1 says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard." Now, to put this into a modern day event, you could say a guy who's got some work to do around the house, who's not able to do it himself and has the money to pay someone else. You might say he went down to Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere where there's a known quantity of folks who are willing to work. Now, this isn't about a particular quote-unquote race. This is just an example. But anywhere where men might be congregated, men or women might congregate where they're looking for work, and you can get several in one place. The illustration we're given here, you'll see where they go to find folks, but that's just an idea. I'm not talking about Hispanic Americans or illegal aliens or any certain people group or ethnic group. I'm just saying, if you wanted to get some work done and you knew where some people were who might be interested in work, you'd go there. That's all I meant by that. If you take anything else out of it, then you're reaching, so that's not what I meant. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned Home Depot. It's just something I heard once. I've never done it. Verse 2, "And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard." Keep in mind that money was different then. A penny used to be worth something. You used to be able to get candy with a penny or 3 pennies or something. That's been in my lifetime. So imagine back when this was written, a penny a day was probably, it wasn't an American penny anyway. It was a fair wage for a day's work, basically. All right, so they've agreed. Everybody agrees. The guy paying agreed. The people receiving it agrees. This is what we're going to do. So nothing unfair so far. He sent them into his vineyard, and he went out about the 3rd hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. Now, the 3rd hour is about 9 o'clock. He had hired his original guys either the night before or early that morning, and they were at work between 6 and 8. Okay, so about 9 o'clock, he goes out and he sees some people standing around. Again, no ethnic group implicated here, just the idea that men or women are standing around with nothing to do. And so he sees that. And he says to them, "Go ye also into the vineyard. Whatsoever is right, I will give you." And they went their way. Verse 5. Again he went out about the 6th hour, and then again at the 9th hour. So he's gone out about 9, about 12, and about 3 to gather laborers. 3 different times he's gone out to get more people because he's got plenty of work for them to do. And anyway, and about the 11th hour, that means 5 o'clock. Most of us would be quitting by then, but they worked a 12-hour day from 6 to 6. So, verse 6, about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So at 5 o'clock, he's still inviting people to come work. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of that. He's getting more people to do the job, getting the job done faster. Now, from a landowner's perspective, that's getting his work finished as quickly as possible before the grapes ruin on the vine. So they're in the heat all day, and they're only good for so long. So from the landowner's perspective, this is perfectly fine. From a worker's perspective, if you put too many people in there, work gets done too quickly, and then you don't have anything to do the next day. You're out of work. So that could be an issue with what we would consider fairness. I don't like my job's jeopardized. I like to know I've got security, so I can understand both sides of that particular argument. But it gets more interesting. Verse 7, they say unto him, Because no man hath hired us, he saith unto them, Go also into the vineyard, whatever is right, you shall receive. Verse 8, when evening was come, that means after 6 o'clock, they stopped at 6. They gathered there, I guess, at the house, and or outside the vineyard, or between the vineyard and the house, I don't know. But when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. Now, this is strange. This is strange to me. Why the last ones first? They were the last ones to arrive. It doesn't make much sense to us. But he said, call the ones that we hired last in first, and work your way back down to the first ones we hired. That means at the 11th hour, the last hour, they only worked an hour. And then the 9th hour, they only worked 3 hours. The 6th hour, they only worked 6 hours. And then call the ones up from the 3rd hour. They've only worked 9 hours. And then finally call the ones in that worked for 12. Now, this don't seem fair to us. And that's the problem, is that we're judging by our own standards, by our own perspectives, instead of just allowing that God knows what he's doing. Verse 9, and when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. Now the plot thickens. You've got men who worked all day for a penny. Then you got a guy who worked 1 hour. He got to show up late and leave early, and not only for the hour, but I mean even in payment. It's the last one there, first one to get paid. That don't seem right, not to us. Well, that's what happened. They received every man a penny. Verse 10, but when the first came, they supposed they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. He gave everybody the same wage. Now, again, this don't seem right. I would probably be incensed. I'd probably say, wait a minute. You gave them a penny and they didn't do much. I've been here all day. I deserve something more. Well, I can understand the reasoning, but I also understand the Lord's reasoning here. Verse 11, and when they had received it, they murmured against the goodman of the house. Now they took their money. Notice they didn't cast it on the ground. They accepted their money, but now they're running their mouth. Verse 12, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour. Thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden in the heat of the day. A fair argument. We've been here all day. We've dealt with the heat. We've done a whole lot more work. These only worked an hour, avoided most of the heat of the day. Now, here's why, part of the reason why this is acceptable to the landowner. When he asked them why they were standing idle, they didn't say, because we don't want to work. We want to get paid for an hour. They didn't say that. They said, because nobody's hired us. We haven't had an opportunity. And you don't know what they did during the day when they were idle even. They still had to bear the heat of the day. They just didn't have anything to do for wages. So a good landowner showing pity and mercy to them, realizing that it was, not necessarily their fault that they weren't able to receive anything, showed them mercy. He answered, verse 13, he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last should be first, the first should be last, for many are called, but few are chosen. Now, I know this goes against the nature and fiber of our being to think that this is fair. But first of all, I was always told by my daddy that a fair is a place you go to ride rides. There's no such thing as fair in this world. But with the Lord, it's not about the money. It's about compassion. And the picture here is of people who live in these last days, who are just now hearing the gospel. Or some who didn't hear the gospel until the very end of their life. They lived their whole life. They had not heard it. When they heard it, they accepted it. They deserve, by God's standards, to receive the same heaven as those who got saved when they were 18 and lived their whole adult life for God. It doesn't seem fair, not to us. But that's how loving and merciful and patient God is. And in addition, while we all do get the same reward as far as where we're going, there are other rewards too not mentioned here. Work is a reward in and of itself. It's an exercise. It's a release of endorphins. It's the opportunity to better yourself, to gain in knowledge and ability, strength and endurance. And so the work itself has benefits to it. Not to mention honor and prestige among your peers, people who respect you because they see how hard you work and labor and your skill at doing so. And so there's little rewards not even mentioned here, and the same is true with heaven. While everybody is offered the same salvation experience, everybody's offered Christ. In heaven, there are some rewards given to those who are faithful with their lives and who honored God in all that they did. And so, while that may not be mentioned here, it is part of the scenario. So, let's review. What's fair? Well, if you want to be honest about it, the fair thing to do is for none of us to receive anything. The Lord doesn't owe us that. He gave us a perfect world originally with Adam, a perfect world, and we messed it up. And so, in fairness, we deserve nothing. So everything He's willing to give, we should take and be thankful for it. Beginning with His salvation and ending with His mercy and grace through a difficult life to live that honors Him. That's what we should be willing to do. Instead of trying to think about what we think we deserve, let's be honest. We deserve nothing. But God, who loves us, who loves us with a love I can't explain, has made a way for us to have more than we deserve. And so we should be thankful and accept it. And we should honor Him with it. In Jesus we can have so many things. You guys have a wonderful day. God bless you. Please consider these things carefully.